Okay, tribe. Looks like we are live. Third time's the charm. It took me 3 times to try to go live here. So let me kind of finish setting this up. What's going on? I'll pin that over there. Okay. Anymore when I go live, I used to go live and I have everything ready. Then there's an issue going live. Then when the issue going live, I got to completely start over setting everything up again. That's why like now when I go live, like I'm not even ready because I'm making sure we can go live first. But let me turn the fan. We are a little bit, it's not warm, but a little bit humid today. So I had to turn the fan on so I'm not breaking a sweat going live. So again, we are on YOU². We're kind of deep into the book YOU². Remember, the chapters are tiny, and we got this going on. And always feel free to jump in the chat if you have a question or anything. That doesn't bother me, even though we're doing a book review. It doesn't make my brain go wild or anything like that. I got my Thai tea going on. Went and grabbed the Thai tea. Then I can wash it down with some water. Got my bad addiction. Thai tea. I guess I have to have Thai tea. I'm in Thailand. So got my water addiction. Then not water addiction, my Thai tea addiction. I drink way more Thai tea being up in Surin. Now Surin is northern Thailand, so I'm the only Falong foreigner in this village. So there's not so much to do. So like going and grabbing a Thai tea is my highlight of the day sometimes. But anyway, we got the Thai tea. Let me get the Thai tea ready because I'll take a sip here once in a while. I might make you thirsty and hungry going through this live. That way I'll drink that. What chapter are we on? We are on trust in the power of pursuit. Now remember, if you've been keeping up with this book, the chapter is only one page, and Pritchett, he kind of like each chapter sometimes ends abruptly because the next thought he's going to explain kind of blends into the next chapter. So YOU², the title of the book, is really all about you. Had a brain fart. I'm so sorry. It's all about you taking quantum leaps. Okay. You don't have to go through the status quo. You don't have to go from step 1, step 2, step 3. You're taking quantum leaps of success in your life. That's what it's all about. That's why it's called YOU² or YOU². So trust in the power of pursuit. Let's get rocking and rolling here. Then also let me know in the chat. Let me know if the chat works. Just because sometimes after the video is over, then I upload the live to public. It will tell me I have all these chats, but then I don't see them. So I'm like, nobody's chatting. So did I turn it off on accident? But anyway, just let me know if it's working. Okay, let's get going. You've dreamed many dreams that were yours for the taking. Isn't that so true? I can put myself in there. You've dreamed many dreams that were yours for the taking. Here's a little quote. Most people confuse wishing and wanting with pursuing. Okay. It's kind of like when you dig deep into Neville Goddard, when Neville Goddard's it kind of can get, there's a fine line of confusion of you're wishing for your dream life instead of you believing it's already yours. You know what I mean? It's a very fine line. Most of the time is like we kind of have that mentality of like, no, that would be nice. It would be nice to be able to have this, or be nice to have my dream house, or be nice to take vacations, or take dream vacations, or take longer vacations. That would be nice. But you don't firmly believe. See, the separation is you don't firmly believe you can have it. See, that's the separation. And that's what kind of resonated with me about this quote is what Price Pritchett was talking about. So let's dig deep. Let's jump into this. To trust in the power of pursuit. And put on my handy dandy glasses. I can see like one sentence, but then the paragraph, when my mind looks at the paragraph, it's all blurry. You don't want me to just me making up words as I read. In fact, almost all of them were well within your reach. Even now, most of what you dream of can be yours. Listen to that. Now, he's kind of going off of you've dreamed many dreams that were yours for the taking. In fact, almost all of them, all of you, listen to, in fact, almost all of your dreams that you've had for your life were well in reach, meaning that it was well within your capability of having your dream life, having what you want. Okay. You think your dream life is so far away from you, but in reality, it's not. It's closer than you think. And then in the realm of consciousness, if you kind of dig deeper in consciousness, you start learning, and this is a hard concept, honestly, but once you understand it, it makes sense. In consciousness, what you want is within your own consciousness. Like, meaning, like, if you can see it in your imagination, if you can see your dream house in your imagination, you can have it. That's within your consciousness. Remember, when you try to manifest, everything is within you. It's from within out, but everything is within you. All the answers you seek is within you. You don't have to go outside of yourself to get what you want. And let me give you an example. Let's say let's say you're trying to figure out what you should do in life. You're trying to figure out what's your next move. What's the logical thing that most people do? I fall in a trap of doing this from time to time. Is we go to our best friends. Well, what would you do? Okay, we go to our family, our parents. What would you do? Okay, we go to our brothers and sisters. What would you do? You know what I mean? We're always looking outside of ourselves. But listen, all the answers are within you. Everything you seek is inside you. Why? Because source is inside you. Why? Because it's your consciousness. Nothing is outside of you. Okay. And let's continue on. Even now, as we speak, most of what you dream of can be yours. Most of what your dream life can be yours. Because listen, this is kind of like Neville Goddard, but he's not talking into Neville Goddard language. Because like most of what you dream about, you're going in, we all go into inside of our imagination just easily. Okay. We do it without realizing it. What you can see in your imagination can be yours because you can see it. Okay. You can see it's your 4D world, it's your consciousness. If you can see it, you can have it. It can come to you. You just have to believe it can come to you. Listen to this. Okay. With Neville Goddard, right now I'm on a Neville Goddard spear. That's what's in my mind. But what is the law of assumption? If you know Neville Goddard, try to answer that to yourself. What is the law of assumption? I'm gonna tell you, but I'm gonna tell you a very simple definition. Is what the law of assumption is what you assume to be true for you has to come to you. That's the law of assumption. Whatever you assume to be true for you has to be shown to you, has to come into your reality, has to come into your 3D world, has to come into your visible world. You have to see it. But see, take this a step farther. Listen, no, in an idea of consciousness, nobody is wrong. Everybody is right. Okay. Why would I say that? You're like, well, Chad, people have to be wrong. Well, in the idea of consciousness, everybody is right. Why is everybody right? Is because what I believe to be true for me has to be shown to me. What you believe to be true for you has to be proven to you. Okay. That's why everybody's right. That's why sometimes with consciousness, sometimes like I don't like to debate with people anymore. I'm just like, well, that's what you believe. That's what's shown to you. Okay. I don't need to prove my point because I know that what I believe to be true for me has to be shown to me. Even if it's true or false, even if it's good or bad, even if it's wrong, it has to be shown to me. Okay. And let's continue on because I'm getting off on a tangent. Listen, the simple secret is the seeking, pursuit. Dreams begin to crystallize into reality when they are pursued. Listen to that. That's really kind of so true. Okay, you have to take some type of action. Listen, the closer you get to your dream life, the closer you move towards something that you want, it has to be shown to you. That's kind of the metaphor. If you look at the if you listen, if you look at the Bible as an esoteric meaning, how Abdullah looked at the Bible, Joseph Murphy looked at the Bible, Neville Goddard. Okay, they're not saying that the Bible is false and all that, but they have such an esoteric view around it. There's deeper metaphors around it. Okay, if you just look at it as a spiritual book. Okay, don't take so offense to it. Okay, like for example, I live in Thailand, baby, and the two religions in Thailand are Buddhist and Muslim. Okay, I'm not either of those. Okay, but I'm not. But I learn. I still go to the Buddhist temples with Aang. With Aang is Buddhist. I'm not crying and having a little fit because she's Buddhist. I'm not. Okay, I accept it. Okay, because there's things to learn. It's all consciousness. It's all spirituality, and you come to find like a lot of religions are kind of the same when we talk about consciousness. Okay, when we talk about law of attraction, manifesting the powers that we have, you start finding that there's a lot of uniqueness to them. There's a lot of the sameness to them. Okay, let's continue. The world behaves differently when you actually take action to go after what you want. What you wish could be starts becoming. The dream moves into your direction, begins to come to you even as you reach for it. Okay, this is what I mean by an esoteric view of the Bible. Let me say this super fast. Okay, we've all probably know or heard of the story of Moses. When Moses rescued the Israelites out of Egypt, then they're walking down. I don't know how far they traveled. I mean, far, and they come to the Red Sea. When they come to the Red Sea, they're flipping trapped. Okay, the Red Sea is the size of a flipping ocean. It's not a stream. They can't just walk across it. Okay, they feel trapped, and all the Israelites, they knew the Pharaoh changed his mind. The Pharaoh and all his men were coming, chasing them, and going to slaughter them. Okay, so they knew they were trapped. They were trapped by the Red Sea. There's no way across it. They wanted to go back. They wanted to go back to their comfort zone, baby. They wanted to go back to slavery. Okay, even though they're walking to their dream life, they hit an obstacle and they want to go right back to their comfort zone. Go right back and this is an esoteric meaning. This is the metaphor that we do the same thing. This is what I'm trying to say. What is your Red Sea? We all have our Red Sea. We all have things we're scared to do, and our Red Sea stops us, and we go back to our comfort zone. We go back to the same life that we complain about. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Okay, listen, the Red Sea didn't split, okay, until Moses walked into the sea. Okay, the water is up to his waist, up to his chest, and until the water split. Meaning, it's the same metaphor for us. What we're scared to do, what we want, we got to walk to it. And lots of times it doesn't. Listen, lots of times it doesn't come to us until we can't go any farther. We can't do anymore. That's our Red Sea. That's when it splits. Okay, that's what Price Pritchett is really kind of talking about, or that's kind of my interpretation anyway. Consider this: the dreams you have realized in life are those which you actively sought. That which you have achieved is what you decided to go for in one way or another. So what you have right now, you went after it. Okay, that's what he's saying. You can think positively all day, all year, but positive action is what counts. Wishing, longing, wanting, desiring, these are not the same as pursuing a dream. Isn't it so true? You can wish all day, Okay, but it's not the same thing as pursuing it. Okay, now pursuing, I don't want you to get confused with forced action. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur. So of course, when I buy other entrepreneur books on learning something, going to seminars, uh, going to masterminds myself. I mean, on the entrepreneur side, you always hear the forced action. You got to take action, action, action. You can't just sit there and wait. You got to take action, action, action. And even though that's true, but there's a piece that's missing. You have to take intuitive action. You have to follow your intuition, follow your gut. That's what leads you closer to what you want. It's not just about taking blind action. It's it's listening. It's listening to your intuition. No, you yeah, that small voice that tells you to do something, you need to follow it. You need to take action on it. That's why Price Pritchett said, wishing, longing, wanting, desiring, these are not the same as pursuing, going in pursuit of what you want, in pursuit of your dream. These are mental states and can play an important role in the process of becoming you squared, but they are essentially passive. Pursue, on the other hand, is active. Reaching for your dream is behaving, moving, and it shortens the distance between you and your desired objective. Most people confuse wishing and wanting with pursuing. We kind of talked about this right in the beginning, okay? That most people confuse wishing and wanting with pursuing. Same way with manifesting. Most people confuse wishing and wanting than actually the law of being. How to speed up manifesting is you act like you have what you want right now. Okay. Their desire for a dream may be desperate and deep, but when that desire fails to produce, they conclude the dream cannot be theirs. Actually, the only proof they have is that the longing is not enough. The data at hand merely prove that desire alone does not and cannot deliver. Okay. And I don't know. I hate to put in my 2 cents here to say I agree or disagree with Price Pritchard, where I know kind of where he's going, I know kind of what he's talking about, where he's saying desire alone cannot deliver what you want. But again, I know what he's saying, but I don't agree with him because when you study with all the old school prosperity teachers, Neville Goddard, Thomas Troward, uh, Joseph Murphy, Napoleon Hill, it all starts with a burning desire. It all starts with you knowing exactly what you want. Okay, you know exactly what you want to go after. If you don't know that, it just confuses the universe. You get what I'm saying? Hey, Rhythm, what's up? You have to take steps. What does that say? You have to take 2 steps forward. Yes, correct. So even though I kind of know what Price Pritchard is saying, I know it's kind of how he's going with it, but he's going with it more of a entrepreneur mindset where it's honestly, oh, who said it? I know who said it. I used to study with him a lot. I actually met him. Um, he does the millionaire mindset stuff. But anyway, one of his talks is like, you want to be a millionaire, you want to make more money, and well, you can't just sit and meditate and have money fall on your head. You have to take action. You have to force it into existence. I mean, honestly, I don't even know if Neville Goddard would even agree with that stuff. The deeper I dive into Neville Goddard is you first, you know what you want. You have that desire, what you want. You have that burning desire. The next step is the advanced phases for Neville Goddard. The next step is you live in the end. And what that means is you live in the end, you act like you have what you want. And listen to this, okay? This is what I'm kind of going through right now is you it's a law of being. Living in the end is you want to be a millionaire, you're a millionaire right now. Okay. And you don't contradict that state. What I mean by that is the reason why things are not working is because when you try to live the most successful version of you, What's happening is when you go throughout your day-to-day activities, sometimes things happen that we have to deal with that we don't like. We're all human. And the thing is that you're constantly going moving backwards to the old you. Okay. And that's what I mean by you're contradicting the state that you're in. Listen, if you want your dream house, never got her to say, well, it's yours right now. Act like it. Okay. But instead we wake up and we look around and it's like, well, I'm not living in my dream house right now. Okay, you're looking for the how. That's a contradicting to having. You understand? You're not going to wake up and call a real estate person. Why would I do listen? It would be such a comical thing for me to do if I'm living in my dream house right now and I wake up looking for a real estate person? I mean, wouldn't it? You wouldn't be doing those things. Okay. Listen, even if you're unemployed right now, you're looking for a job. Okay. Then Never Goddard would say, you're living in the end. You already have your perfect job right now. You already have your dream career right now. So act like it. You're not, listen, the extreme of living in the end. Listen how extreme this gets. And this comes out of the Law and the Promise by Never Goddard. Okay. I'm not making this shit up. Is is this extreme of living the end is if you're unemployed, you act like you're employed. So when you wake up, you're not looking for a job because you wouldn't be doing that if you had a job. If I had a job right now, I'm not going to be looking for a job because I already have one. Okay. And listen, the contrary to this is I can hear you guys think a little bit is like, well, I know that a lot of people you have a job, that you're looking for a job, but you already have. Okay, but put yourself in a state. What state are you in? Because you already have, you don't need. Even if you're kind of looking for a new opportunity, but you already have a job, you're not in that needy state because you already have. So you're coming off as that most successful version of you because you already have. But the trick is when you don't have, you have to put yourself in a state that you already have. You see what I'm saying? You know, that's the whole trick. That's kind of the hard concept. Okay, it's an easy concept to get, but it's a little bit challenging to do because you're dealing with emotions. You're dealing with like, okay, I got to be under budget. I can't spend money. I got to be careful. All comes from a scarcity mindset. Okay, and sometimes people can say like, well, Chad, you have to look for a job, you have to submit resumes, you have to do all this, but you're coming from a state of what? You're not coming from a state of having. If you have a job, you're not doing any of that. You're not looking for a job if you already have a job. If you're job searching right now and you don't have a job, what you need to do is when you wake up tomorrow, is you wake up like you already have a job. If you have a job right now and what, every day I wake up at 6 a.m., you know what you should do is wake up at 6 a.m., eat breakfast, take a shower. If you go to the gym before you go to work, go to the gym before you go to work. You treat your day as if you already have, not like you don't have. Okay. See, that's the trick. Okay. But we kind of get on our own way because of course we're human. Of course we're going to, we've been conditioned to think different ways. We've been, and on top of it, we all have our own little junk to work through. Let's continue as I got off on a tangent. Where was I? Let's take a sip of my Thai tea. Okay. We've only got three more paragraphs to go, then we are done with this. Not done with the book, but done with the chapter. Listen, pursuit is what makes the difference. Reaching for what you want alters the odds immediately and drastically of getting it. What you want becomes part of a dynamic exchange with the world and you in partnership. When you act and extend yourself towards the dream. So, all he's really talking about, kind of how I interpret this, is he's always saying, like, you want to move forward what you want. You want to take action. He's not so much going on forced action. He's not really saying that. But for me, interpreting it, yes, you want to move forward. Okay. But the first step is knowing what you want and you stay there. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have to force anything. Because if you understand consciousness, okay, if I can see, listen, if I can imagine my dream house, The great news is you can have it. If you can see it, imagination can come to you because it's within your consciousness. Nothing is outside of you. You don't have to go outside of you. You don't have to take forced action and force things to happen because everything's inside of you. The way action comes in, like I said before, is intuitive action. You're going to have an intuition to do something and you follow it. That's where you take action. You just don't take blind action. Okay. You listen to your intuition, you listen to your gut. When you're in that state of being, listen, you're in that state of being and having what you want. When you're in that state of being and having what you want, you're going to have a gut feeling to do something. You're going to have an intuition to do something and you follow that because when you follow it, it takes you closer to what you want. Sometimes it takes you straight there. Then sometimes it's a puzzle piece. Sometimes it will take you closer to it. Once you go closer to it, it's like driving in the dark. You don't know what's coming. Okay. When you get closer to it, then you have another gut feeling, another intuitive action to take you farther. Okay. That's just my interpretation or what's worked for me. Okay, U² is firmly based on the premise of pursuit. When he said U², it means quantum leaps. It means, okay, you're not going from step one, step two, step three, step four. You can move from step one to step five. You have to believe that. Okay. And that really aligns with the subconscious mind. Remember, your subconscious mind is very, 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 did I say very enough? It's it's very impersonal to you. Okay. I kind of like it to say it this way. Maybe it's not appropriate, but your subconscious mind don't care about you. It don't care about you because it just gives you what you give it. Period. It's not trying to figure out what's right and wrong. It's not trying to figure out what's positive or negative, what's right for you, what's not right for you, what's best for you, what's not best for you. That's your conscious mind. It is not your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind just gives you what you give it. Okay. Bottom line. That's why I mean it's very impersonal. If you give it something bad, if you think negative all the time, sooner or later you're going to accept that as truth. Once you accept it as truth, your subconscious mind will bring it to you. Even though it's not good for you, it will still deliver it to you because that's what your subconscious mind thinks you want. You understand? That's what I mean by it's impersonal. So I read it one more time. U² is firmly based on a premise of pursuit. Quantum leaps require you to take the offensive. You can't achieve exponential gains in your success from a defensive posture. You can't remain in a passive stance and make a quantum leap. Okay, I kind of really agree with that because he said it kind of weird. Okay, but meaning you can't be defensive all the time. Okay. What's offensive? Offensive to me is action. Okay. How do you take action again? You take intuitive action. Okay. You follow your intuition. You're defensive, meaning I'm defensive right now because I'm just in my state. I'm in my state until I feel led to do something. Once I feel led to do something, that's where I take action. Okay. So what he's saying, you're not playing defensive all the time. You're playing offensive. Okay. But you're not forcing it. Okay, that's the only thing I want to kind of hammer in here because especially when people, and I've been doing this stuff for a long time. That doesn't mean I know it better than anybody else. Okay, I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life, and I've always had mentors and coaches, and when you dive into that entrepreneurship, you can jump on TikTok right now, Instagram, whatever, go through reels and you see reel after reel after reel. You got to take action. You got to force it. You can hear Alex Hamosi and Layla Hamosi. You don't have to like what you want. You just have to do it. You know what I mean? Which I understand where they're coming from. I do like them. They are very, very successful. But I think with Alex, as much as I know about him, is that Alex has trained himself to listen to his intuition. They're not explaining it like I am. They're not saying I'm following my intuition. I'm following my gut. Uh, but Alex has learned to his whole motto is like this is why I think Alex Hamosi has high functioning autism because I have it. My nephew has it. I can see it in other people. I can see their traits. I can listen to him and think, he's probably neurodivergent. Doesn't mean he has it, he'll be diagnosed with it, but he does have neurodivergent traits, meaning like he's trying to stay out of his head. I've heard him say this on podcasts where if he doesn't take action right away and just do it, once he has a thought to do something, intuition to do something, he just does it. Because if he doesn't do it fast enough, he goes in his head, meaning he's being over analytical. He'll be trapped in his head for hours instead of just doing it. Uh, but but yeah. And I got a question coming in. I'll answer it in a second because we only have one little paragraph to go. You must move on your dream. This means you must leave the cover, the safety that goes with merely wishing for something. You must place your trust in action. Ask, ask, seek, knock, and the dream shall be yours. Now he's taking a verse from the Bible, ask, seek, knock, and the dream shall be yours. But let me give you another verse is way more powerful than that. Listen to this. Which one do I want to give here? Because my mind's on ask, seek, knock. You ask for what you want. Okay, you ask. You go in prayer. You ask for what you want. You believe you already have it. That's living in the end. When you go to prayer, you ask for what you want. You ask, believe, receive. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry about that. You ask for what you want. You believe. Listen, this is right in the Bible. I forget what verse it is. I forget where it is. You believe you already have it, which is living in the end, which is the law of being. And the third step is you receive it. That's more powerful than ask, seek, knock, and the dream shall be yours. Okay. You ask for what you want, you believe you already have it, and you receive it. Um, and that is the end of the chapter. So let me read this sentence really quick here. You must move on. You must move on the dream. This means you must leave the cover, the safety that goes with merely wishing for something. You must place your trust in action. This kind of reminding me of the fear barrier. Okay, we're all scared to do stuff. We all have fears that hold us back, that keep us in our comfort zone. Okay, remember, your comfort zone is not your friend. It really isn't. Your comfort zone is kind of your enemy. It's meant to kind of, in a way, it's a safety net. It's meant to kind of keep you safe, but you have to understand that your dream life is not in your comfort zone. Your dream life is on the other side of fear. Your dream life is on the other side of the fear barrier. Your dream life is on the other side of the fire, wherever how you want to put it. Okay. This is what came up to me kind of as we're wrapping up this chapter is your dream life is on the other side of the fear barrier. What you're scared to do, you have to move forward anyway. Because lots of times what happens is that we with the fear barrier, lots of times the moment we want to give up, you're so close to what you want, you just can't see it. We wish we could see it because if we could really see how close we were, nobody would flip and give up. Everybody would be living their dream life. Okay, that's why I tell myself this. Like every time I feel like quitting, throwing in a towel, no matter what it is I'm doing, no matter if it's YouTube or whatever, no matter if my mind goes in the gutter from time to time and say, oh, this is taking too much of my time. I can do something else. I'm just being transparent. But again, every time I feel like quitting, I tell myself that what I want, my desire, my dream life is just around the corner. I'm basically standing toe to toe with it. This is the fear. This is a fear barrier right here. This is how close you are. What you want, your dream life is right here, is on the other side, or wherever how you can see it on camera. Okay, it's right here. You're on the. You just can't see it. Okay. Okay. Then when I back in the day when I used to uh read tons of books on being millionaires, successful people, ultra successful people. They all told the same flipping story. Not, they told it in a different way, but they all had their own different fears they had to overcome. But they all basically told the same story. That it came down to a moment of they really wanted to throw in a towel. They really wanted to quit. But for some reason they didn't, they hung in. And like 2 weeks later, what they wanted came to them. You know what I mean? Because they're just standing toe to toe with it. Like when you have that immense feeling of quitting, you're toe to toe with what you want, but you can't see it. Okay, that's what keeps me in the game. That's what keeps me going most of the time. It's like when I want to quit, I know I'm standing toe to toe with my dream life. I just need to push, even if it's one more step, you just need to push through it. Okay, you need to keep going. Okay, sometimes it's fear, sometimes you're scared to do something, and all you want to do, your whole body, your whole intensity, you could be filled with anxiety. All you want to do is run backwards or run back to your comfort zone, but you stop yourself. You become aware enough of what you're doing, and you become aware enough of knowing my dream life, what I want is not in my comfort zone. Okay. My dream life is on the other side of the fear barrier. So, I mean, that's the only thing. But the key is that we're all scared to do different things. We all have things that hold us back. What holds me back might not hold you back. Okay. But what holds you back might not hold me back. We all have different things we gotta work through. What I'm scared to do might not scare you. And vice versa. What you're scared to do might not scare me. Okay, like for me, like for example, I've traveled most of my life. Okay, I've always loved to travel. Uh and I travel international. So I've been living in Thailand for 4 years. Now I go back and forth to the United States. Usually I go back and forth once a year to the United States for a few months to visit family and stuff like that. And I stay a few months. Uh, but so for some people, that would just scare the life out of them. But for me, it was just like normal. I wanted to do it, so I just did it. I started off taking vacations, like normal vacations, like everybody else. That led into taking 2 week vacations, 3 week vacations, maybe a month vacation. Then I started traveling international. Then then I always wanted to try to live abroad to see how I liked it and experience different cultures and different things. Even though sometimes different cultures can get to you a little bit. It's not what you're used to, but it's a learning experience. You're learning how different cultures live, and you're actually there living with them. You're not on vacation anymore. There's a big thing between coming for 2 weeks and actually living abroad. But I didn't do that. I didn't start living abroad until 2021 after the pandemic. That's when I started, and I came by myself. That was the first time in my life that I traveled by myself. Because usually I always traveled with a significant other, like my entire life. I mean, when I was a kid, of course, I traveled with family, but after I got out of college, when I went on vacation, I always went with a significant other. So in 2021, it was kind of a uniqueness for me because one, I wanted to experience doing a long stay, not just a vacation, a long stay overseas. How I ended up in Thailand, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but oh well. Thailand wasn't on my radar at all. Okay. At the time, I owned a condo in the Philippines. Then I ended up selling it. Then my plan was to actually go to the Philippines for a while because I knew people there, I had friends there. But after the pandemic, everything was shut down. And Thailand was the only country you could travel to. You could only travel. You couldn't travel to all of Thailand. You could travel to Phuket, Thailand. So I lived in Phuket for 1 year when I first came here, and it was a unique experience because this is the first time I did a long stay. Plus, I traveled by myself. And it was such an awesome experience. I can hardly explain it. I can hardly, I should have done a video on this back in 2021. It would probably be way more better than now. It is such a unique experience to travel by yourself. I didn't go with anybody. I was doing what I wanted to do 100% of the time. I didn't have a girlfriend. I wasn't dating Aang yet. You know what I mean? I was completely by myself. And even if you're like an introvert, what's kind of unique is that when you travel by yourself, you're kind of pushed up against this fear barrier again because like you have to talk to people because if you don't, you just don't communicate with anybody. So you find even if you're an introvert, you find yourself talking to other tourists doing the same thing you're doing. You meet a ton of people that they're doing the same thing that you're doing. They want to explore another country. They want to maybe they don't want to technically live abroad, but they want to experience it. They want to experience it for 3 months or 6 months or a year to kind of see how it is. And you kind of find out that there's other people that want to do this stuff. I'm not just the crazy one. Okay. And you kind of have this unique bond with people. You meet people like even now, it's almost like when you have childhood friendships, okay? When you really think back to like kindergarten, first grade, and stuff like that, you have a special bond there. But like when I first came to Thailand by myself, I can remember everybody almost I hung out with. There's like a handful of people I hung out with that we still kind of chat on and off today, because you kind of have that special bond with them because you're both going through the same thing, and it's not a negative thing you're going through. It's not like a trauma bond, okay? Uh, but it was such a unique experience because, like, when I came to Thailand, I'm all over the place, but when I did that, I kind of had a nasty breakup uh, with an ex I dated for 2 or 3 years. It was kind of a nasty breakup. She was more of a narcissist, and and I lived in California for like 18 years. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna move back to. She ended up moving to Florida, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna move back to. Uh, oh shoot, I'm gonna move back to Ohio. That's where all my family was. And I started thinking like, I've been away from family for like 18 years. I'm gonna go back there for a little bit. So I ended up moving all my stuff. I drove it across country, moving all my stuff from California back to Ohio. Then when I was in Ohio for a little bit, I thought, you know what? I've always wanted to do a long stay somewhere. Now I have the ample opportunity. I'm not with anybody. I'm not dating anybody. I'm not married or whatever. I'm not in any debt. Everything's paid off. So, to me, it was like the perfect opportunity, and I jumped on it. I followed my intuition. I had a gut feeling to do it and I did it. And I had to jump through a lot of hoops because it was the pandemic at the time. And let me answer this real quick. It's like a business thing. Sorry about that. Uh, nah, they didn't leave nothing. That's like a live chat to one of my websites. But if they don't leave like a name or email, then I'm not going to answer anything. I'm rough like that. but but yeah, I don't even know how I got on that chat about how I ended up in Thailand. But I can tell you, like, just going by yourself, if you ever wanted to do it, you have to experience it. You know what I mean? And just going by yourself, like for me, just having that breakup, kind of, I can kind of go down a rabbit hole with a breakup. It was a nasty flipping ass breakup. The only thing is, we weren't married; we were dating, so we didn't have to go through all that jazz. But but yeah, it was a little bit of a crazy time, a cray time. But it ended up as a blessing. You know what I mean? But let me see here. I have a question. What does the feeling of being lead feel like? Rhythm, I'm finally reading it. What does the feeling of being really feel like? That's a great question. It's a deep question. And I kind of been thinking about this, but I kind of been wanting to do more and more videos about this. And it's kind of really honestly, it's kind of a great time to answer that question because I've been kind of thinking a lot about this. And even for myself, like the feeling of being it's a concept of for everybody here is you already are who you want to be. That's your consciousness. Okay. You already are who you want to be. Whatever you want to be, whatever you want to have, no matter if it's materialistic or not. Okay, materialistic is just abundance. You know what I mean? Abundance is infinite, abundance is divine. So if you only have your dream house, it's you're being that person right now. You already have it. But the kind of like the more I was thinking about it this morning when I woke up, like the law of being, like isn't it so true? Like when you have something, you're indifferent towards it. You understand what I'm saying? If you listen, if you already have something, you're indifferent towards it. Isn't it true? Okay. What you got to do is this is kind of the mind tricks I play with myself. Is like if I want my dream house, my dream car, whatever, I want to be a multimillionaire, whatever it is. What I'll do is I'll try to attach to something else that I already have. And what I start noticing is like, oh, I was gonna pick up the tripod and swing it. I'm not on the tripod. Uh, but okay, I got my computer set up right here. Okay, I got a screen right here. Okay, I got a dual screen right here. And I got this as maybe like a year ago. I only had this set up a year because I finally was like, okay, I need a better setup in Thailand. Okay, I got everything back home in the States. Okay, so I bought the computers, I bought the mic, I bought the mic for my phone, so I have really good audio. You don't hear the shh in my videos. Okay. But once I get my computer, yes, I'm grateful that I have my computer. But you know what? Once you have it, I'm indifferent towards it. Do I think about my computer every day? No, I don't. You know what I mean? Because I'm indifferent towards it because I already have it. You understand it a little bit. Um, and I think that's kind of it might not be the best way to explain it. No, I can explain it many different ways, but that's something I've been kind of thinking about the last several days. Is you have to put yourself in a state of you have to compare yourself to something you already have. Okay, like when I wake up in the morning, I'm not thinking about my computers. Okay, because I already have it. Okay, I've had it for a year. Okay, then I have a setup back in the states. The setup I back in the states, I hardly ever think about. Only time I think about it is sometimes when I'm doing a video, and I'll say in the video that hey, I have an office here, and I got an office in the United States set up. I don't have to lug stuff back and forth. The only thing I take back and forth is my laptop that's sitting on the floor. But the whole point is you're indifferent towards it. Even if you want your dream car, but you have a car right now, okay, the law of being you already have your dream car. Okay, but the car you have right now, you're not overthinking it. You're not thinking about your car every day. It's out of sight, out of mind. You're indifferent towards it. That's what I mean. Okay, I'm not waking up every morning. Oh, is my car still sitting out there? I'm not doing that stuff. Like in Thailand, I have a motorbike. Okay, I don't have a car, but for me, Thailand isn't really a car culture. I mean, if you drive your car, there's no place to park it. So I have a motorcycle, and when I wake up, I don't think about my motorbike. I don't think about it all day long. I don't wake up and go look for it and say, "Is it still here?" Okay. See, the law of being is you already have, but kind of what works for me is like what I'm trying to explain right here. I'm trying to give you examples that what work for me is because I try to compare it to something I already have. But what I start noticing is you're unattached. When you have something, you're unattached from it. Like listen, if you have enough money, you're unattached from money. You're not thinking about money. You're unattached from it. Okay. If you make enough money, you're unattached from it. Okay. I'm not like, especially like if you want to be a millionaire, or maybe you want to be well off, you want to make a couple 100,000 a year, or you want to make just enough money that you can do what you want, whatever that amount is for you. Okay. But the law of being, if you already have money, you're not flipping thinking about money. That's the oxymoron a little bit. Okay. I'm not, if I already have and I have enough, I'm not thinking about it over and over and over. I'm indifferent towards it. When I lay down at night and go to bed, okay, I'm not counting money in my sleep. If I did that, all it would do is contradict of having because it would put me in a state that I don't have. You understand what I'm saying? Is that's why we have to be very careful of what we do in our 3D world. Okay. Now, bedtime routines, nighttime routines, going inside your imagination is very, very strong, but you have to get good at it to a point you're where you're not contradicting yourself. Lots of times we're doing things that contradict ourselves, meaning that even for myself, I can do something and I can do a manifesting technique, and all it does is make me feel like I don't have it. You know what I mean? That manifesting technique isn't going to work because it puts me into a state that I don't have. because it's kind of like reminding me that I don't have it. Okay, because I'm constantly thinking about it. That's why, like, I think with Never Goddard, I did a video on this, and on my channel, it's called the authentic. What is it called? The authentic ladder technique of Never Goddard. I did a lot of research on this because I really wanted to know how Never Goddard really taught the ladder technique, and I try to get it as close as possible. I mean, going through his books and doing research on it. And but with his ladder technique, it was kind of unique because his ladder technique was, if you want to be like, when Never Goddard was alive, his ladder technique was actually a prerequisite to actually work for him. For him to mentor you, you had to do the ladder technique, and the ladder technique had to work for you. That's the only way he would work with you and give you advice or work with you one on one. Excuse me. This is the proper way to do a ladder technique. You lay down at night, you go inside your imagination, and you're climbing up and down the ladder. And you're actually doing it. You're bringing your five senses into it. You can feel the ladder. Then as you grip the ladder, what type of ladder is it? Is it wood? Is it metal? If it's metal, is it cold or hot? If it's wood, like if wood's old, like you can feel the splinters in your fingers. But the bottom line is you're bringing your five senses into it. You're actually climbing the ladder in your imagination. You're not seeing yourself do it. And you do this, you climb up and down until you drift off to sleep. In the morning, he did the knot technique. So in the morning, when you woke up, you're basically like, I don't want to climb a ladder. Why do I want to climb a ladder? You just flip and let it go. I don't want to do it. Anytime you start thinking about the ladder, I don't want to do it. I've climbed like hundreds of ladders when I was a flipping kid working with my dad. Why do I want to climb a ladder? You know what I mean? You do the knot technique because remember, if you don't want it, to your subconscious mind means you already have it. Okay. That's the power of the knot technique. So the never God or the ladder technique was just a combination of a sleep technique. And during the day, you did the knot technique. Is basically kind of to unattach you from it. Okay. So you're not thinking about it all day long. Okay. That's kind of, it connects to the law of being, is when you're truly in that state and you truly want something and you're truly being that person. That's why I mean you're indifferent from it, because you're not overthinking it. You hardly think about it. And that's why I'm trying to give you a connection with your own life. Think about things you have right now, you own right now, because you're indifferent towards it. You're not thinking about it all the time. Okay. Then honestly, when you do, you're grateful. Okay. Okay. Um, I have a funny story. Th- this live is going to be a while. I have a funny story about this. It was a story about my mom, and it was kind of a recent story because she was getting ready to retire, and she had an attorney and meeting with an attorney and everything, how everything's going to be set up for her retirement and stuff like that. And it came down towards her certain things. I can't tell you everything, of course, but certain things that she made too much money. So their attorney was like, well, you have to be careful. But she was still working at the time. And she had a job at, like, the more you work, she got paid OT and double time and triple time and all that stuff. So my mom's kind of like, especially the older she's gotten, she's kind of like a worry wart. She'll go in her head and overthink and overanalyze. And sometimes she'll focus on stuff she shouldn't focus on. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Like she'll, when it comes bill time, she pays her bills very old fashioned. None of them are on auto pay and stuff like that. She still sits down and pays everything one at a time. And for whatever reason, it's a very stressful time for her, the bill time. But what was very unique about this, when the attorney said, you have to be careful. I don't want you to work no more OT at work. I just want you to have your normal income going into retirement, at least going into the startup, the starting phase of your retirement. I want you to be careful. So no more making money, no more OT to my mom. Dude, she just grasped that. I mean, she just became so super analytical, super overthought it. In her mind, she was, I can't make no more money. And she had, let me close the curtain. She had such unique experiences around. It's basically the knot technique, but she just was emotionally charged by it. It's like, and she was like, I would have conversation. I'm in Thailand having conversations with her, and she's having conversations with me. Like, well, I'm going to get my pension from work. My pension is going to be this, but I'm thinking about denying it because the attorney said that for me not to make no more money. And I'm talking her into, mom, no, take your pension. Don't turn away your pension. The attorney knows you're going to have a pension. Okay, take your pension. He's just saying, just be careful on the OT, lay back on the OT. But what was so unique about this, she was so into, I can't make money, I can't make money, I can't make money. Meaning to the subconscious mind, she has plenty. You know what I mean? And she was starting to get all the she was starting to get like all these opportunities to make money. She got because her work was a little bit weird. Like every time someone retired from her work, they kind of, like in the past, they kind of screwed the person. They wouldn't give them like their vacation. They wouldn't give them like holiday pay. They wouldn't give them stuff that they earned. They were kind of cut corners and stuff like that. But with my mom, she's thinking she's not going to get all of it because she's thinking to herself like, "Oh, they did it to everybody. They're going to do it to me, so I don't have to worry." You know what? She got every little thing. They gave her everything when they didn't when people who retired before her didn't even get it. Because I mean, several things. She would call me, be like, "Oh, they gave me this, they gave me that." And she retired. Her last day was over the holidays, over Christmas, over this past like Christmas and New Year's. And then going into like January, she gets this like surprising check that they paid her holiday pay over the holidays. She was thinking, I'm not going to get it because I'm already retired. They gave her holiday pay, so they were giving her all these little things. And I was kind of sitting back. She was telling me this story. The way she told it was maybe more powerful because time has went on. But I was sitting there thinking after I got off the phone with her, I was like, you know what? This is like the knot technique. Like, I don't want, you're denying stuff. I know I don't want, meaning that you already have. And my mom was seriously doing it because, again, the attorney said, don't make no more money. She was like taking it to the flipping T. She was, she was ready to deny all types of stuff. Then the more she was in that state of no, 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 I have enough. I can't make any more money. The more things came to her. It was an amazing time for my mom. It's just the more she kind of was like, "No, I don't want," the more it came. The more things came from different angles, okay? And it really is just the power, really the power of manifesting, but really the power of the knot technique, meaning that it's the flip-flop. Like, if the state of being, like, if I'm a millionaire and I make plenty of money, as long as I'm not in massive, massive debt, and I have a huge mortgage and huge car payments, and I try to buy a yacht and stuff like that, I'm indifferent because meaning I have enough. Like things aren't going to phase me. Okay, if I go outside and there's a flat tire, I'm like, okay, let's fix it. Okay, I'm indifferent towards it. It's not going to phase me. And that's the same state you got to put yourself in. It's a tricky state because we're, again, like I said, we're dealing with emotions. Okay. It's hard to master our emotions. You know what I mean? And, it's hard to kind of let go and be unattached by things. It's hard to let go as an adult because, again, as an adult, you got responsibilities. You know what I mean? It's hard to kind of, well, Chad, what are you talking about? I got responsibilities. I got, I got mortgage, I got car payments, I got kids, I got their school, I got the lunches I got to pay for. I'm married. Like I got all these responsibilities, and it's hard. It gets tough at that point. And most of us older have experienced that. Even if you're single, you still have your own bills and car payments, all the stuff that comes with it. But you have to try your best to put yourself in the state you already have, and that's the law of being. Is who you're being right now. That's what's coming into your 3D world. either your current self or more successful version. Okay, we're kind of jumping. We're not two states at one time. We're only in one state at a time. Okay, and that's what's coming into our world. And it's kind of like which one's the most dominant state is actually coming to you, and that kind of flips back to the law of assumption. Is whatever you assume to be true for you has to come into your reality. Okay, whatever you accept to be true, and your subconscious mind just gives you what you give it, no matter if it's false, no matter if it's not true. Okay, your subconscious mind isn't going to stop you and say, wait, you're right up against your fear barrier, don't stop, don't quit, don't start coming back, and don't start thinking scarcity. Your subconscious mind don't do that. But once you accept scarcity is better and scarcity is true for you, that's what it gives you. It doesn't give you wealth, it gives you scarcity, it gives you poverty. Okay. But anyway, tribe, we've been on here for almost an hour. But it's been nice chatting. We did the book review. Before I go and wrap this up, if you have any questions, you want to pop on here, ask a question before I go. I'll try to keep chatting here for a couple minutes. I know I've been long-winded on the answers, uh, but rhythm, that's something, when you said the law of being, that's something it's been on the tip of my tongue. It's something I've been really thinking about. And it's not public on YouTube yet, because I just went through again. I've been through them before. The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. I wasn't going to do it privately, but then I actually filmed it. It wasn't like all of them were. Sometimes I basically took out a paragraph and just dissected that paragraph. We didn't go over the whole chapter. Sometimes I went over the whole chapter. So I did all those. Then we went through the Feeling is the Secret by Neville Goddard. That was a little bit more of a shorter book. Uh, then kind of going through. Just I kind of started off as my own personal, because I felt like I was kind of getting away from my own personal study time, rather than doing videos all the time and talking to people all the time. It's like kind of sitting down and doing my own self study. But then I had an intuition to, oh, you should just film it anyway, and that's what I kind of did. So over the last 2 weeks, I probably holy crap, over the last 2 weeks, I probably filmed like 40 videos that will slowly be kind of coming out on YouTube and stuff like that. But but that's kind of been a main question to me, because it's, we're always trying to figure this stuff out. We're always trying to figure out, like, no matter how we want to say it, live in the end, act as if, the law of being, you already have it right now. How would I act if I already had my dream car? How would I act if I if I made $15 million, almost had $15 million a month, $15 million a year? How would I act if I was a multimillionaire? How would I act if I was a millionaire, or I made $1 million a month, not a millionaire, but I made $1 million a month? How would I act? And the thing is we do know deep down how we react, but like I said, we need to connect something to it, that something we have right now in our current world. Okay. Uh, okay, that's a good question. So when you go for it, how do you know it's your intuition? Um, I think that's a really good. That's a good question. Um, I think I think when we follow our intuition, it's one thing I want to say. Your gut feelings, your intuition, it's never going to lead you the wrong way. But I think at the same time, sometimes when we follow our intuition, we don't know if it's our intuition. Sometimes I get the same thing. I have a gut feeling, and And it's like, well, how do I know it's what I really should be doing? How do I know it's my intuition, my gut feeling? Lots of times we don't. We just have to trust it. I mean, that's the honest answer because that's what I feel too. Sometimes I don't. Um, but again, you can't get into a habit of looking for the how. Like sometimes you ask that question, which I know why you asked the question because you're trying to figure it out. But at the same time, you're trying to dissect it. Okay. To me, if you're trying to dissect something, you're overthinking it, you're over analytical about it. So if if your intuition is telling you to do something, like, "Oh, do this," and you're kind of stopping and thinking, "Well, is this best? What happens if I do this?" You're trying to play out the outcomes rather than just doing it. Okay, and your intuition gets a little bit stronger when you actually don't question it and you just do. I mean, this is an excellent question, but it's also a it's hard to answer too because because it's I hate to say it's different for everybody, but I can just talk from my own experience. Like lots of times, I'll have like a brief something comes through my mind quickly, and what for me once I start second guessing it, once I start over being analytical, once I procrastinate and think, well, maybe I'll do it later, then the opportunity's gone. You know what I mean? Now for me, I don't really believe that we really miss our opportunity. I think that the opportunity it will flip back around. Now, what's the waiting game? I don't know. But I don't really believe that we really miss our opportunity. I believe that it will flip back around. There'll be another nudge. It just might take you longer to kind of get where you want to go because you didn't listen the first time. But only thing with me, I feel like I'm talking in a circle. I apologize. But only thing for me is the more I follow it, the more I just do and take action. It's kind of like Alex and Mosey. It keeps me out of my head because I love the overanalyze. I'm very over analytical. I can overthink and be very indecisive. So for me, I know if I start overthinking stuff, I'm going to be in my head for 3 hours. Okay, then I'm mentally exhausted. Then I talk myself out of doing it because I went in my head rather than just do it. Another thing I think what people do that's kind of, I've done the same thing. I've fallen into the same trap is when we think we follow our intuition. You have a gut to do something, you do it, but you expect something out of it. So you start looking again. You start looking for the how. Okay, and you think that, well, it wasn't really my intuition because I did it. I followed my gut, but nothing happened because maybe I'm the only one guilty of this. Well, yeah. So follow Nike, just do it. Yeah, because I really think like your intuition's not going to lead you the wrong way. That's what my personal opinion. Because really, your intuition is depending upon your spiritual background or whatever. If you believe you're a spiritual being, your intuition is a communication between you and God, you and Source. Okay, it's a communication between you and consciousness. So that's why I said like all the answers are within you. Okay, I'll give you a story real quick, and I'll try to be quick with this because it might be late where you are. It's still early my time. It's only noon in Thailand. Uh, how I got back on YouTube. I was on YouTube before, and how I got back on YouTube is, and this is a really good intuition example. Is it was back? I think it was back in 2021, and it was the end of 2021. It was 2022. It's Christmas and New Year's of 2022. 2022 it just can't hit January. Every Christmas time and New Year's, I always do a reassessment. I always do kind of what I want to focus on this coming year. But that in 2022, that time was kind of unique because I know I wanted to move in a different direction, but I didn't know what. So I was at home. I wasn't in Thailand at the time. I went home to visit family, and I was home all by myself. I was sitting in the recliner. It was late at night. I had the TV off, and I usually how I ask God or ask for intuition or ask for guidance I'm kind of sitting in a recliner. I'm super relaxed. I'm just in that moment. Okay, the perfect moment to kind of ask. And I ask. I can't remember if I ask out loud or ask me mumbling a little bit. That what should I focus on? What should be? What should I be? What's the next phase? What's the next step? What should I be doing? I asked something like that, and I said, as I wrap it up, I said something like, "No, give me a sign. Give me a sign that I 100% know you're answering my question. Don't give me a subtle sign that I don't know. I mean, give me a sign that I know 100% you're answering this question." And I did this at such a relaxed state, I fell asleep. You know what I mean? And listen to this. Every time I've done this, the answer has come to me. Because when I wake up in the morning, I totally forget. I totally forget that I asked. I totally forget that I asked for guidance. I asked for a question. I totally forgot about it. And I don't know. I don't know if it was like a few days later. It could have been a week later. I can't remember. But I'm back at home. I'm all by myself again. I'm sitting in the recliner. I'm super relaxed. And I'm just sitting there, almost thinking about I'm not even thinking about the question I asked. I might have been sitting there thinking, what am I going to watch on TV? But all of a sudden, it was such a unique experience because all of a sudden it was the answer came, and it was get back on YouTube. Just out of nowhere, I just had this thought, get back on YouTube, start YouTube. And this time be consistent with it. And I can tell you that moment, even though it sounds corny, that moment was so real to me because what I've learned was when you ask for guidance, for me, what's worked for me in the past is I always follow it up with, let me know. Okay, let me know you're answering the question. Give me a solid like answer or whatever how it comes. Like I'm going to know you're answering my question. The other phase of that, you got to let it go. You got to just stop thinking about it. You can't look for it. Once you start looking, the answer takes longer to come to you. And I'll be honest with you, that every time I've thought about throwing in a towel with YouTube, I always think back to 2022. It was such a strong, unique experience for me. Like, because you have to understand, okay, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. YouTube wasn't even on my flipping radar. If you told me to write down 20 things what I wanted to do in business, no, there would be no YouTube. You know what I mean? If you told me to write 50 things, there would be no YouTube. Maybe if I wrote 100 things, maybe YouTube would have been on there. But I wasn't thinking it at all. It wasn't even in my mind. And how it came to me, it was such a definite, it was so definite to me. Like just out of nowhere, I just thought, get back on YouTube. And like I said, I know I'm repeating myself, but like I said, that it was such a real experience. Every time I think about quitting and giving up, whatever, I think about that moment and I think, no, I have to keep on persisting and consistent. I gotta keep on pushing forward. Okay, but what some of us do is we follow our intuition and we question it. Sometimes people will say, "Well, Chad, I follow my intuition. I did it 3 times, but I got nothing out of it," because you're looking for it. You understand? Okay, sometimes there's not going to be like fireworks going off every time we do something. Okay, sometimes it's a puzzle piece. It just takes us closer to what we want, but we don't know. Okay, we want to just come and fall on our head, and sometimes that happens, and sometimes it don't. It just takes us closer. But once we actually do and follow our intuition, we're kind of a step closer. That we stay in that space, then we'll feel a nudge to do something else, and that nudge will kind of be building blocks to what you want. It's kind of the same way with being an entrepreneur. Is is I think this past January, in the beginning when I came back on YouTube, I was I was doing success and manifesting stuff. It was the same stuff, but I was kind of unclear where I wanted to go with it. My first goal was honestly, I just want to be consistent with it. I don't want to stop. I don't want to quit. And I actually did that. That's why now today, when it was January of 2025, I finally I got another intuition. I woke up one day and I started finding like, you know what? Like in my videos, I hear me say the same thing over and over and over. I hear me say, you need to live life on your terms. It's all about living life on your terms. It's all about you doing what you want, when you want, whenever you want. You designing your life how you wanted to design it. And I started finding me saying that. And that's when I sat down. And that's when my YouTube channel, I totally revamped it over kind of rebranding it to live life on your terms. I know, well, of course, sometimes I know how to do everything because I'm an IT guy, you know what I mean? I'm a software engineer. So, I built the landing page for Live Life in Your Terms. I started the 30-day challenge. I did everything myself, built everything myself. So for the next, like from January till like July, like I pretty much put in all the footwork, kind of building out everything. So when people come to the channel, they know more what the channel's about. It's not so confusing. And that was another intuition I had, but I had to kind of go through. You can't see everything in the beginning because if you see everything in the beginning, it's overwhelming and you might not do it. You might not take a step forward. Okay. And that's why you have to trust the process because if you knew everything you had to do, maybe you say, no, I don't want to do it. Okay. If you knew you had to take 30 steps, you might not want to take 30 steps. Okay. But your intuition knows you more than you know yourself. Your subconscious mind knows you more you know yourself. So, it knows that one step at a time. As long as you follow one step at a time, then next thing you know, the step three, four, and five, it might give you something bigger to do. But since you're conditioned to kind of listening, it didn't give it to you right in the beginning because it knew you're not going to flip and follow it. You're not going to do it. Okay. Same way for me with YouTube. I'm giving it a success example, but if I knew all the work that had to come into it, maybe I wouldn't have done it. But just because I listened to it, I got back on YouTube. I was consistent. I was consistent posting every day. No matter if I knew the direction of YouTube or not, I still just listened. I did that for 2023. I did that for 2 years. Then I woke up one day and I just out of the blue, it's like I woke up and I was like, I figured it out. I know the direction I really, really, really want to go. And then I started putting it all together. Okay. Um, but if I knew everything I had to do that all in the beginning, maybe I wouldn't have done it. Maybe I would have been like, it's a little bit too much work. I could focus my time on something else. And you know what I mean? But it's like our Red Sea. We don't know. It's like driving at nighttime. You only can see so far ahead of you, but you're not going to drive off the edge of the earth. Okay. And but you only can see so far ahead of you, but you should keep on driving. And as you go farther, you see farther. As you go farther, you see farther. As you move farther, you see farther. It's the same way with success. Okay. If we saw everything, we might be discouraged and not do it. But if we see only a little bit, then we're more amped to do it. Um, but I gave you a really, really long answer on intuition. But I think it's a combination of things. It's us getting out of our own way, us just trusting ourselves. I think that's another thing. Just being confident and trust yourself. I think like for me, I think for people who's always follow their intuition and gut, maybe they were raised that way and they were more confident in in listening to themselves and doing things. Like for me, I wasn't raised that way. Okay, I was raised the opposite. I was raised my dad was very, very strict, and you listen to what he told you. He planned your day, okay? And he planned your day as long as you lived in his household, you did what he wanted you to do. And this was clear up until college. This wasn't when I was 10 years old, okay? You have to understand that. This was all the way through middle school, all the way through high school, all the way through college. When I came home, was I lived at college. When I came home in the summer, you did what he wanted you to do. He planned your day. He planned everything. You dropped what you dropped your plans and you did what dad wanted you to do. So when you become an adult later in life, you don't trust yourself because someone's always planned your day. You did what somebody always told you to do. So the dogma of it is you feel kind of weird when someone says like, "Oh, listen to your gut, listen to your trust your gut, trust your intuition." It's weird for you. It's weird for me because we're used to not trusting ourselves in things. You know what I mean? We're because we weren't brought up that way. We weren't brought up that way as a kid. Okay, so as an adult, we don't trust ourselves. That's why we think manifesting is outside of ourselves. Well, I gotta ask 20 of my friends, and 20 of my friends will give me 20 different answers. Now it causes confusion because we don't know which way to go. Okay. Rather in the beginning is honestly, I don't have to ask anybody. I can just trust myself, listen to my gut. And usually when intuition comes, it usually comes when you're super relaxed. You're not thinking about it at all. And the answer will just come to you and you follow it. But for me, this has been a work in progress for me when we were talking about this stuff because I wasn't brought up like that. And I'm not saying I was brought up in a horrible household. I wasn't. My parents loved me. They did the best that they could do from the knowledge that they had at that time. But that's how I was brought up, and I had to learn along the way to trust myself. That I can bet on myself. I know I'm going to succeed because I trust myself. Okay. I know I'm gonna, yeah, I mean, it's like, yes, we're gonna make mistakes, but it depends upon your perception of the mistakes that we make. Mistakes, failure is just a perception. Okay. It's how you perceive it. If you perceive it as a failure, then it's a failure. If you perceive it as a hey, I learned, then you're learning from it. Okay. Life is happening for you, not to you. That's another way to look at it. Like everything you're going through, maybe you're going through a gunk phase right now in your life, but you have to look at it differently. You have to perceive it differently. Okay. If you look at it as life is happening for me, there's something for me to learn and take away from what I'm going through right now. And you'll have a different outlook on life. I mean, you really will. But I've had to go through all that stuff because it just stems from my childhood. Okay. Like when I was growing up, I didn't have frame standards and boundaries and non-negotiables in my life. Okay. Why? Is because I did what dad wanted to do. You know what I mean? And when I was growing up, if you challenge dad, my dad was the type of guy that, oh, hey, you think you're a big man now? Okay, I'll take you outside right now and show you you're not a big man. You know what I mean? So you didn't challenge authority. You just did what you were supposed to do. And I had to learn as an adult, learn the hard way. You know what I mean? And after I got out of college, I went straight. I was kind of lucky in my career. After I got out of college, I moved right into management as a young manager, and now all of a sudden I'm managing people. And I was in a huge department. We had flipping like 230 employees. Plus, I mean, we had about an 8-person management team, something like that. I was one of them. But still, you were just you were thrown into it when you yourself didn't have standards and boundaries and non-negotiables. You didn't know how to lead and tell people what to do. Then I'm in a relationship, then I get married, then I don't know kind of how to have boundaries and standards because I never had to do that growing up. I never learned that growing up. So I had to do it. It's like either you sink or you swim. And sometimes you're in bad relationships, they don't work out, but it's still a learning experience. You still learn. And sometimes for me, what I've learned is when you have rocky relationships, it's really because you don't have standards and boundaries and you don't have non-negotiables. And then you have to work through that. But what are my standards and boundaries? What are my non-negotiables? What do I don't like? It takes a while. And for me, but it's for me, it's a continually work because As the older we get, it's so easy to float backwards. It's so easy to float back to that old self. Your old self will never go away. This is why I really know your old self, that old you, never God would called it the old man. It will never go away. It's always there. But when you're working at the most successful version of you, what happens? It don't go away, but it's laying dormant. It's dormant to come back. It's dormant to creep back in. And we're always from time to time kind of stomping it down. From time to time, we become aware that, dude, I'm floating back in a negativeville a little bit. Okay, I got to readjust myself. Or I'm floating back where I'm kind of letting things slide a little bit too much with my standards and boundaries. I'm letting people talk to me a little bit where they shouldn't be talking to me the way they talk to me. Okay, then you put a stop to it. But it takes work. You're scared to do it in the beginning. You're scared to kind of confront somebody. You're scared to sit somebody down and have a conversation like that. And I went through phases where I would pretty much lose my shit. You know what I mean? Almost have a temper tantrum or have a meltdown. You know what I mean? Because I let it get in my head too much. But sometimes you have to go through that phase. You have to be extreme a little bit, and then once you're extreme a little bit, you can kind of float back. You kind of float back to normalville a little bit. But sometimes you have to go because you have to go extreme in the beginning because you're extreme on this side. And just from my background, I'm extreme on this side, because one, I have high functioning autism. That obsessiveness comes with that. I'm kind of an empath. I learned that growing up because my dad was very, very strict. When you're an empath, you basically learn as a kid, a little on up, that you absorb other people's energy because you learn as a kid. It's a survival mechanism because you really learn to pick up people's energy, but you learn it as a kid because you learn that, well, right now isn't the best time to be around dad. So you avoid, you know what I mean? But that skill gets basically better and better and better and better and better as an adult, where you start absorbing other people's energy and you start catching it like that it's a superpower, but you have to control that superpower. You can't let your superpowers control you. Okay. Like if you're neurodivergent, high functioning ADHD, is you can be like hypersensitive to your environment, things you do, you can be obsessed. Okay, that's not going to go away. Medicine doesn't take it away. You know what I mean? The only time they describe medicine is like if you have anxiety or if you have trouble sleeping or if you have like a severe case of ADHD or high functioning. But if you just have normal Asperger's, like high functioning level one, that it you have to learn how to control it. You have to learn. You're always going to be obsessive, but you have to learn what you're obsessed with. Again, that's something my nephew's learning right now, going through. I mean, of course, I'm way older than my nephew. My nephew is my sister's boy. He's 21. I'm 5 years older than my sister, so you can probably guess how old I am. So it he's learning that too. He's learning that phase, but he's kind of learning the hard way a little bit because he got wrapped up into addictions and smoking and drugs. He kind of went down that rabbit hole. I get obsessed, but I got obsessed with being an athlete in school, martial arts, and I got obsessed with work and being an entrepreneur and working on my job. He got obsessed with on the opposite scale. Okay. It's not bad. It's just that's something he had to learn. He has to learn. It's not about taking the obsessiveness away. It's about controlling it's about redirecting it. Okay. Being in control of redirecting. And I don't even know how I got off on that tangent, why I ended up talking about it. But well, I know why, because it was, talked about intuition, talked about standards or boundaries. This is something I really had to work through. I really had to try to figure out for myself. Um, just because again, just how I was raised, you know what I mean? And it might be different for you. It might be similar a little bit where it wasn't really taught, or it could be something simple. It wasn't the confidence wasn't taught. You weren't your parents didn't really distill in you that hey, what would you do? You know what I mean? I remember Bob Proctor were talking about this all the time. And he's like, Bob Proctor said, he was so glad that he was doing this kind of work when he actually had kids with his wife, because he was talking the same way. Like when he was brought up, it was nothing was never taught to him. And so when he had kids, when they were old enough to ask him for advice, "Hey dad, what would you do?" Then he would flip the question, "Well, what would you do? Tell me what you would do." Then they would tell him what he would do, and he's like, "Okay, okay, go do it." Because he's training them to be confident in their own decisions. Then that makes you more confident in your intuition and stuff like that. But a lot of us are not trained that way. A lot of us were not brought up that way, and that was me. Okay. I've had to learn this stuff as an adult, and on top of it, I had to learn this stuff as an older adult. I don't mean an adult at 18 years old. I had to learn this stuff when I was in my 30s and 40s. So uh, and it yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Um, but but, uh but yeah, I'm gonna have a brain fart here. Let me take a drink. But anyway, tribe, we've been going holy hell, we've been going for an hour and a half. Aang's probably sitting there. She can hear me talk, and she's probably wanting to peek her head in. Usually on the lives, I don't mind if she walks in and stuff like that, but I think she's thinking I'm doing a normal video where I have to be quiet and I try to keep the sound down and stuff like that. But she's probably out like outside in the living room or kitchen thinking, "Oh my god, he's doing the longest video ever." But I'm just amazed that the live didn't cut off. Sometimes the internet is pretty. Sometimes it's up and down in Thailand a little bit. Sometimes I have trouble going live. Sometimes it will cut off midstream. Sometimes if it cuts really quick, like it will kind of like I'll get a warning sign across the screen. So you lost internet connection, something like that. Like the YouTube will do it. If it goes really fast, it doesn't cut anything off. But if it lingers, this is a learning thing. If it lingers, it will cut off the live, but it won't tell me it cut off the live. That's the thing. I'm sitting here recording, thinking I'm live. Then I'll go to upload this video from live to public, and it will be like, "Why, dude? I talked for like 30 minutes. Why is there only 5 minutes?" And that's the aggravation of YouTube sometimes. But anyway, tribe, it was nice chatting. Thanks for all the questions, Rhythm. Those are actually questions I kind of real honestly, I'm not making this up, really kind of been thinking about myself, like pondering on myself. Uh, you kind of asked at a good time. That's why I'm kind of throwing up information, because it's kind of what I was kind of really thinking about and making more content on and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm gonna have to go. Thai tea was pretty well. I still got that much. I didn't even hardly drink. I still got that much Thai tea. It's strong, so even if it's watered down, it still tastes pretty good. Just because Thai tea is kind of they make the tea a little bit strong, and so it's still even watered down, it still tastes pretty good. But the flavor's still there. But anyway, friends, tribe, thanks for hanging in. We all started this. We're come back tomorrow with the next chapter of You², and it's pretty random. I don't know what time I'll go live. Usually today I went live a little bit later because today is Sunday. So I when I got up, I filmed the Sunday coffee talk uh, because that's Sunday morning. Then we went and grabbed it afterwards. Went and grabbed the Thai tea and came back, and I came live. So I've been trying to go live a little bit closer to when I wake up. That way, it's a little bit earlier in the States and Europe and stuff like that. It's not so extreme. Uh, but um, but anyway, friends, tribe, peace out. Hang in there. Don't give up. Persist. There's almost what Never God would say. Persist in the end. Don't give up. Persist and consist. Okay. It's your perception of everything. Okay. Don't get too hung up in your mind. Don't, I mean, I know it's such a human behavior to look for the how, try to figure out. It's kind of like you kind of look at it as, what should I do? Is there anything I can do? Is there anything I can do to speed it up? But the great news is you can do nothing. I mean, this is actually coming from Never Goddard's. I just went through his books for like, yeah, I've read them before, but I don't know how many times I've read his books so much, either read them or listen to audios. And but when you did listen, as we wrap this up, when you're dealing with consciousness, you can do nothing. You can do nothing to speed anything up. Okay. You have to understand that there's nothing you can do to speed it up. Your only job, listen to this, your only job is to act as if you have what you want. That's your only job. Your only job is to know what you want. You know your desire. You know your dream life. Then it's the law of being. You be it. That's your only job. Your only job isn't to figure out the how. It's not to figure out how it happened. It's not to figure out how did I come up with the money to get my dream house. It's not figuring out where did I find the real estate person. It's not figuring out how do I afford my mortgage payments. It's done. Okay, once you said it, it's done. It's created. It's in your consciousness. Your only job is honestly pretend like you already have what you want, and you do it to the best way you know how to do it, and you do it without contradicting yourself. The best way how, the like kind of like you just have an awareness that once you flub up, we all do. We all kind of go back in the gutter. I catch myself and I say, what would the most successful version of me do? What would the most successful version of Chad do in this moment? And most of the time, at least 50% of the time, I can answer that really fast. And that's what you should do. That's what you should do. But it's that simple, but we think it's not that simple. I think that's the thing. This stuff is simple. It's super simple. It's crazy simple. But we get in our own way. And how we do that is we try to figure out the how. We try to think like, well, I can do something. I can do something to speed up everything. But you have to realize you can do nothing. You can do nothing. The only thing you should do is law of being. You be it. You want your dream house? You already have it. You want your dream car? You already have it. You want to be a millionaire? You already are a millionaire. You want your SP? You already have your SP. You want a perfect relationship? You already have your perfect relationship. You know what I mean? And you be that person who has it. Okay. And it's figuring out how you would be that person. But most of the time, you're indifferent to it. Meaning, like if you already have something, you're not searching for it. You already have something. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. You're not overthinking it. You're basically moving on with your day. That's what you're doing. Like if I already was a multimillionaire, it wouldn't phase me because I'm still be doing the same thing I'm doing right now. You understand? If I had my dream house, guess what? I'd be doing the same thing I have right now. Okay. If I was sitting in my dream office, guess what? I would still be doing the same thing I'm doing right now, doing a live stream. You know what I mean? So you have to put yourself in that state, the state of being. You already have it. It's indifferent. You're not overthinking this stuff. But we get into overthinking because we think we can do something to speed it up. But the only thing we're really doing in that, we're actually slowing it down. We think we're speeding it up, we're really slowing it down because we're doing things like it's like if we're an employee, we're doing things that's outside of our job description. It's not in your job description to figure out how you did stuff. It's not in your job description to figure out how you afforded your dream house. It's not in your job description to figure out the how. Okay, that's not your responsibility. That responsibility is a universe. Depending upon your spiritual background, that's the responsibility of God. Okay. That's a responsibility of consciousness. Okay. Your only responsibility is you have what you want. That's your only responsibility is ask, believe, and receive. That's it. It's that simple. You ask for what you want, you believe you already have it, then you receive it. That's your responsibility. You got to keep this stuff simple. And for me, what helps is having that reminder. I got to remind myself all through the day sometimes. Or I have little affirmations that kind of keep me on track of when my mind drifts off in the gutter or something like that. Is then sometimes I'll do like a hybrid uh, bedtime routine. Not so much a routine, but it's really what you're thinking about 5 minutes before you go to sleep. Okay. Like we really dig into Neville Goddard. I'm going off on a tangent again, but if you really dig into Neville Goddard, Okay. And I'm not saying people explain Never Go the wrong way. I think they explain it more surface level. But if you really go deep into his bedtime routine, and hopefully I don't have a brain fart. And when he would lay down anytime during the day, maybe if it was more of a meditative state or going to sleep, he would actually wait. He wouldn't go straight into his imagination. I don't know if you know this about him. He wouldn't just lay down and go straight into it. He would lay down and he would purposely wait till he felt really, really drowsy. Okay, that's what you call the state of kin to sleep. You're in between. You're not fully awake, but you're not fully asleep, but you're super drowsy. It's almost like you're sitting back in your recliner or you're doing a meditation, and all of a sudden you just become super, super relaxed. Like your muscles are relaxed. Like you're so relaxed, you don't even feel like getting up and moving. That's how relaxed you are. That's when he would actually go inside his imagination. He would put himself in this relaxed state, and once he hit that relaxed state, that's when he would actually go inside his imagination and he would have this imaginal scene. Then he would drift off to sleep. But he wouldn't be like some people teach this stuff where it's like, go to bed 30 minutes before you go to bed 30 minutes before you go to sleep and lay there and you in your imagination for 30 minutes. Yes, it trains your intention. It trains like you can focus on something for long periods of time. Okay. But that's not what Nawagata really taught in his bedtime routine. Okay. He taught you put yourself into a very, very relaxed state. And and sometimes he would repeat, like, I'm relaxed, I'm sleepy. He would think about stuff that would make him sleepy, super relaxed. But once he felt himself, again, I'm repeating myself, but once he felt himself crazy relaxed, then that's when he went inside his imagination and he had his imaginal scene of what he wanted. That's how he did it. Okay. Okay. And then sometimes he did it as a meditation. Okay. He wouldn't be going to sleep, but he would be, we all do it just natural. You're just sitting down and all of a sudden you just feel super relaxed, like crazy relaxed. Like it's almost like you have to get up and do something, but you don't even want to move. Okay. That's when you go inside your imagination. That's your state akin to sleep. Okay. That drift, Never called it the drift. You're in between. You're in between. You're not fully asleep, you're not fully awake. You're still aware, but you're just crazy relaxed. That's when you go inside your imagination. Okay. But I thought I would share that because that was on the top of my mind. But anyway, I'm really going this time, tribe. But thanks for hanging around. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the questions, of course, because it keeps everything flowing and it keeps me on the spot. But anyway, peace out. And remember, I'll see you tomorrow on the next live stream. I don't know what time yet because I try to go whatever time I wake up and I have coffee and get that done and I'll go live. But anyway, peace out, persist, don't give up. Okay, remember, anytime you feel like giving up, you're this close to your dream life. You're this close to what you want. Okay. I tell myself when I feel like giving up myself, I know I'm this close. You just can't see it. If you could see it, you would not be throwing in the towel. If you could see how close you are, you would not be giving up. You would just feel it and be like, holy hell, I take one more step. I could literally have what I want. I could have my dream life. Okay, that's how close you are. You just can't see it. It's in your consciousness. It's that close to you. But other than that, tribe, peace out, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I got to turn this baby off.